Welcome to all the students. I'm going to continue with the lecture on inventory management. This is the first lecture in the topic under the heading that is inventory management. And this particular topic is taken from unit number 3 for the subject RS 601 Industrial Management. And the subject is meant for BTech 6 semester students from all the branches. Through this presentation, we'll discuss first the difference between inventory as well as stock, and also we'll discuss about the inventory management, inventory control. We'll discuss why the organizations used to maintain inventory and their plant. Further, we'll discuss the different objective associated with inventory control, classification of inventory, the inventory related cost, process of inventory control, functions, advantage, disadvantage of maintaining as well as non-maintaining the inventory, and scope of inventory management, that is where the inventory can be used. First, we will start the topic that is inventory. To start with the topic, first we have to know the difference about inventory as well as stock. Students, as you know that stock is nothing but the finished good. The finished good that is at the end of distributor, wholesaler or retailer that they have to maintain on their shops in order to selling purpose, and they have to maintain the adequate amount of stock so that they can prevent the condition of stock out. Whereas when we talk about inventory, inventory is a broad term we can say, and inventory after processing the goods, we can say it is converted into finished product. When we talk about inventory, then the list of all the movable goods which helps directly or indirectly in the production of goods for sale is known as inventory. It's a comprehensive list of movable items that is required with the manufacturer in the name of products, and they have to maintain it for the for facilitating the for processing it within the working conditions of the plant. Next, we'll see the inventory control. In the words of Gordon B. Carson, inventory control refers to the process whereby the investment in material and part is carried out in stock is regulated within predetermined limit set in accordance with the inventory policy established by the management. So, students, when we talk about inventory control, and especially when we talk about to control the inventory, we are talking about to take the measures at the end of manufacturer to control the inventory, to take the measures so that the within the process the amount of stock can be regulated within the predetermined set limit. And when we talk about inventory management, then obviously, as the name suggests itself, rather than controlling, we are talking about to manage the inventory. That is, we have to proper plan, organize the resources, coordinate and directing as well as controlling with the help of the management function, managerial function. We have to ensure that inventory adequate amount of movable parts and goods are there in the plant. It's a scientific method of finding how much stock should be maintained in order to meet the production demand and be able to provide right type of material at right time in right quantities and at competitive prices, unless and until the manufacturer will not purchase the material in bulk from the tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3 vendors, then uh, and that too in in the anticipation of demand of the goods, then they will not be able to process the good, and further they cannot convert it into useful goods. And so it is a big question to decide that how much quantity a manufacturer should borrow or should take from the vendors, and at what time they have to place the order again and again. Further, number of factors that are affecting the inventory, that is the demand of the product in the market. If the demand of the product is not regular, not continuous, then obviously comparatively low stock has to maintain. There is no need to block a big amount of capital in the name of inventory. Whereas if the demand remains continuous and at large scale, so then in that condition, manufacturer has to take the concern to block their capital in maintaining the inventory. Next question arises, why there is a need to maintain the inventory for a manufacturer. It ensures against delay in delivery, like if the manufacturer doesn't have the inventory with there, and if the customer provide or place an order, then obviously manufacturer will not be able to not be able to provide the order, provide the goods at the right time in right quantity. And so if the inventory will be there with the manufacturer, it ensures against any kind of delay. Further, another point with respect to the need of inventory is it allows the manufacturer for the possible increase in output, and also it helps to maintain the smooth and efficient production flow. With the help of inventory only, one can keep better relation with their consumers, and they can take the advantage of quality discounts also. At the end of consumer also, they can get good discounts when the manufacturer is having adequate amount of inventory with them. Another point that is in support of maintaining the inventory is, with the help of inventory, one can utilize to advantageous condition related to price fluctuations. If in the market the prices of raw material varies frequently, and if someone is having adequate amount of stock of that particular material, then obviously he'll enjoy the advantage that he will not suffer with the fluctuation in the price of that material. And another need to maintain the inventory is it ensures the against scarcity of material in the market, and to provide a better utilization of resources like manpower as well as machinery. If the manpower as well as machinery is there, but inventory is not there, then raw material is not there, then obviously the production cannot be possible. And so if the adequate amount of inventory will be there, then only the resources can be utilized. Next, we'll see the objectives of inventory control, that the objective can be of operating objective as well as financial objective, because inventory, when we talk about inventory, it's an investment. It's a kind of investment in acquiring the material, semi-finished product or tool, equipment, etc. Then when we talk about operating objectives, then it is utmost required for to operate the plant that material should be available on right time, and one should take care about the availability of material, that the material should be right in quantity or it should be qualitative one. Unless and until the material will not be qualitative, then obviously the wastage will be produced with the help of defective product. Another operating objective is, if one having the inventory with them, then they have to check related in relation to embezzlement and theft of that. And for the same time, they have to fulfill the operating objective, as if the inventory is in adequate amount present with the manufacturer, then it is at most required for the success of business. Just because the success of businesses depends on the sale of the good, the sale it depend on the manufacturing of the good, and manufacturing is entirely dependent on maintaining the inventory of the goods, of the raw material. Another kind of objective, that is financial objective associated with the inventory control, and these objectives are, some of the objectives may be described as that one should take care about optimum investment of capital and efficient use of capital while acquiring the inventory. Unless and until one is not take care about their financial resources and invest more in blocking the capital, then there is no any kind of benefit will be there. And if the demand is low for a particular kind of product, then unnecessary large to acquire large amount of inventory will be not be benefited for the manufacturer. Next is from the viewpoint of finance, the inventory should be acquired at reasonable price. Manufacturer must take care into consideration while acquiring the inventory. The prices of the raw material must be as low as possible. Like they have to see the foresightness, and they have to check the different market and availability of raw material at cheaper price. And also, the next financial objective to maintain the inventory as is to minimize the cost in blocking the capital. Here we are talking about blocking the capital, then we have to take care that right quantity of material should be acquired within the lowest cost as possible. And another related point to the fulfillment of financial objective through inventory is that for the efficient, effective, and optimum inventory, one should prepare the proper cost account so that inventory control can easily be observed as well as accessed. Next, we'll see the different kind of inventory that in an organization one have to maintain. For a manufacturing concern, the inventory may be classified as direct inventory as well as indirect inventory. Direct inventory includes the raw material that is taken either from tier 1 supplier, tier 2 supplier, or tier 3 suppliers, depending on the nature of product in which the company is dealing. Next is, it is the part of material that is processed through a single operation and yet to be processed on another machine or for the next operation. It is in the waiting condition. Another direct inventory includes the purchased parts also, the parts which are taken from the vendor. They also comes under the category of purchased part and raw inventory. Just because they have to assemble in a particular machine or a particular mechanism, then it is not taken as the stock of material. It should be taken as inventory only, just because of the fact that product is not processed or not assembled completely. And so purchased parts, purchased mechanisms also comes under the category of inventory, direct inventory. And obviously the finished good, unless and until the good is within the factory area itself, the finished good also comes under the category of inventory. Whereas after dispatching it through it from the factory, the finished good becomes the stock only. It will not be inventory. Next, we'll discuss another kind of inventory, that is indirect inventory. Indirect inventory consists of the standard as well as hand tools that are required to process the goods. However, one can say that it's not the material to which we can process. Yes, of course, it is not material, but it's the helping tool, and it also comes under the inventory. Like, one should take care during manufacturing, during processing, the part or machine part application, the machine part can be subjected to wear or tear, and if it is subjected to wear and tear, adequate amount of stock of the respective tool, machine part should be there with the manufacturer. Unless and until the manufacturer will not have these standard tools, hand tools, and supplies, like supplies nothing but the equipments that are meant for housekeeping, such as broom, dustbin, and the phenyl, and many more equipments, like of watch for the factory area. It also comes under the category of lubricant, mobile oil. All these things comes under the category of supplies. Next, we'll discuss the different inventory costs that incurred in order to maintain the inventory within the plant. The classical inventory analysis identifies the different kind of costs. The major cost of inventory to maintain the inventory are purchase cost, or we can say unit cost, and the next one is of ordering cost, or we can say procurement cost. Next is carrying cost or transportation cost. And last but not least, the stock out cost. That is not a particular type of cost to incur the good, but to not to incur the good is nothing but the stock out cost. If the company or company people are unable to incur the cost in a proper the inventory in a proper manner, then a shortage can take place, and this shortage is known as the stock out cost. And due to this shortage only, one can face the problems like they will not get the order in the future. When we talk about purchase cost, as I told you, that it's a unit cost of inventory, and which is paid to the supplier for procuring 1 unit of inventory. As the number of units will be increased, the unit cost may be decreased to some aspect only, or to some extent only. It will not be like that. It will that with increasing the amount or order quantity, the purchase quantity or the purchase price will not continuously decrease. Like, for an example, if the 20 units of raw material are taken from the farmer or from the vendor by the manufacturer of 50 rupees per unit, then it may be possible that by acquiring 100 units of the same material from the vendor, the vendor can provide it, say, for 49 rupees 50 paisa per unit at the rate. And this is the purchase cost or unit cost of inventory. Another type of cost is ordering cost, or as I said, ordering cost is also known as the procurement cost. Procurement cost is nothing but the costs associated with the placement of order for the acquisition of inventory, the expenses that are incurred in the purchase department and the salary of purchase department, postage bills, telephone bills, stationery, and follow-up measures also comes under the category of ordering cost. When we talk about holding or carrying cost, it is the cost incurred due to maintaining the inventory and the organization, and it involves the cost like insurance cost, rent of the building, pilferage or theft of the material, and it is generally expressed as a percentage of inventory value. Last but not least, as I told you earlier, that stock out is nothing but a kind of cost that is associated with non-managing the inventory within the plant. And here you can see the diagram which represent the relation between the different kind of cost, that is carrying cost as well as procurement cost or ordering cost. You can see the total cost curve also shown or represented the total cost in totality, the total cost of maintaining the inventory within the plant. Here you can see that the point where carrying cost as well as procurement cost meet at a point, that point is known as the EOQ, that is representing the quantity, the minimum quantity of material, the quantity of material that is maintained by the manufacturer, that should be maintained by the manufacturer in order to keep the carrying cost as well as procurement cost as minimum as possible. For this particular type of cost, the total cost for this much amount of order, the total cost of maintaining the inventory will also be minimum. The figure is in the diagram is in between the total relevant cost and quantity ordered. The relationship in between in terms of maintaining the carrying cost is positive, and it increases with the amount of order. As the number of raw material will be ordered more, then the transportation cost as well as storing cost, insurance cost will be increased continuously. And so there is a positive relationship between the parameters taken into consideration, that is ordering quantity and cost for the carrying cost. Whereas you can see in the diagram that procurement cost initially is very high, that is to order the cost, to order the material, first we have to work out about the demand, about the schedule, and then we can provide the order only. So initially it is very high, but as the ordering quantity increases, the procurement cost decreases, because one can get different kind of discounts from the vendors or supplier of the material. Here, the interfacing point, that is known as EOQ, stands for economic order quantity. It is the quantity ordered of the material for which the minimum total variable cost is required to incur. Next, we'll see the different process of inventory control. Inventory control is the process that involves certain stages, like in first stage, one has to take the decision related to purchase, and for that order placement is required, placement of order is required. To pursue this particular stage, one has to establish the separate purchase department in the plant, they have to prepare the purchasing budget, and they have to generate the purchase requisition slip. Further, they have to invite the quotations, invite the prices for the raw material through proper tender, and they have to send the purchase order against the quotation provided by the suppliers. Further, once the purchase order is placed, then material to receive the material and inspect the material, that uh, the material is up to the mark or not. Further, if it is not up to the mark, then the defective material has to be returned to the supplier itself, and the payment of the purchased material should take place. That is how the purchase or acquisition of raw material takes place. Next stage consists of storing the inventory. So in order to store the inventory within the plant, the store manager has to provide this receipt of material in the store. They have to maintain a proper book and issue the material from the store, and return, also take care the record of return of the material to the store. Further, they have to check the thing like as and when the transfer of material takes place from the store, then they have to keep the record or data. And not only they have to take the data, but also they have to consider, they have to take care about the material abstract, like about its quality, specification, and numbers also. And the third stage of processing the inventory is process of issue of material. Like after acquiring the inventory, after purchasing and acquiring the inventory within the store area, next task is to issue the material for the processing. Like as and when the material comes into the store, then the next task is to issue the material for the processing and to keep the record of material in with the costing department, with the finance department, and the material which is issued, then they have to take care into consideration, and if some material get bags from the production area, then returning of that material is also taken care. Further, after a particular time period, periodic checking of material should be taken care in order to check its quality, its quantity, and maintain the stock by physical measurement. Next, we'll see the functions which is served by inventory. It helps to ensure smooth production operation by ensuring timely availability of the material. The main purpose of inventory control is to minimize the capital investment in inventory by better use of financial resources. It also helps in minimizing loss due to obsolescence, deterioration, damage, theft, or any kind of wastage. Further, next function of inventory is to protect against the uncertainties of demand and supply, and to help managers in decision making. Another function that is served by the inventory is to utilize resources in a better way as per the capacity of store. And last but not least, the purpose to the function of inventory is to maintain reasonable stock of material at all times, just because market is subjected to the fluctuation of prices, dynamic conditions, and to prevent those dynamic conditions, inventory helps a lot. Another function of inventory is to facilitate regular and timely supply to consumers, increasing the consumer satisfaction. And another function of controlling the inventory is to prepare the actual material report and to help in checking the national wastage. And with these, we'll move towards the advantage of inventory. There are a number of advantages associated to hold the inventory within the plant. Like there is no shortage of material at any stage of the production if the enough amount of inventory is there. Material are always be available at economic rate. There is no question of delay or interruption in production due to unavailability of the material. Exact and accurate delivery dates can be forecasted if the enough amount of inventory is there. Production schedules and delivery dates can be maintained accordingly, and there is an increase of overall efficiency and productivity of the company if the production line is not interrupted and adequate amount of inventory is supplied to the resources in terms of workers as well as machine. Next, we'll see the disadvantages to hold multi inventory, that one should take care about the insurance cost and different kind of expenditures that can be incurred on to protect, on to maintain the inventory within the plant. So the carrying cost of inventory will be more if more material is stored and if the material is stored for longer time. Unnecessary capital of investment is there along with the inventory, and that is if the large material is purchased and stored, then obviously a big amount of investment is required. The safety of material and maintenance is also costly, and the insurance costs, rent of store, other costs to store the material involved in material involved in inventory, such as cost of holding, record keeping of the material in the stock, is the disadvantage, we can say. In case of reduction in cost of the material or inventory in future, there'll be a loss. There will be loss that is subjected to the inventory. Next and last, we'll see the area where inventory control can be used. Inventory control as a tool can be used in order to determine the price of the goods. It is also helpful where when one have to take the decision related to maintain the stock. One has to take the decision about how much to order, when to order. Then also inventory control techniques helps a lot. And also the area of or the application of inventory control can be seen like to maintain the buffer or safety stock and to minimize the lead time and to determine it is another area in which inventory works. That's all for now. Thank you, students.